Alright, what's going on? It's a new video, Mad As Part 2. The new, I was going to say burnout car, but I don't know. That's undecided. That's undecided. I was going to go burnout car, but I'm thinking drift car. I got a complete rear end out of AU Falcon, a Series 1 gear, so that means it's an IRS, which has given me the idea. I've been watching heaps of drift videos and I'm getting all keen on a drift car. I already have a burnout car, why not build something that can do something completely different? Like, the bottom line is, my dream has been to drift cars. That's why I've got into burnouts, because it's the closest thing to drifting that is actually pretty accessible. Drifting is that next step closer to my dream, so I'm thinking we build a drift car, and like, it'd be pretty cool. So anyway, that's enough yabbering about that. So to make the Mazda work, we're gonna need to build a chassis for it, and then just drop the cab on top. So yeah, I was gonna go unibody, but that's just not gonna work realistically, so we're gonna go for a chassis, and that's what I'm doing tonight. This is a chassis jig. I'm trying to make something level off of something that is not level. I mean, the concrete's not too bad, but that's why I got these bars, the bars in the corners. So I've gone and bought a whole bunch of tools as well. I got a new welder, a Sig Weld XF 200P3 is the model. It's a very, very nice welder. Bought some MIG shield for it too. 2 left-hand gloves, because I'm an idiot, and they come in packs of 2 lefts. So we got 2 left-hand gloves, 3 left-hand gloves and a right, because I went and bought more. I thought that was pretty funny. Red tools. We got a grinder, a rattle gun, and a drill, and a bag, and a charger and 2 batteries. This isn't ideal, but I've clamped it to the table and I'm going to do it this way. And then while I'm at it, I can weld the undersides of the thing there. So let's get that in there. About 17 years later, we got this level and flush. As you can see, if I put that there, it doesn't catch. There. Same on this side. Doesn't catch. It doesn't catch. And on this edge as well. Doesn't catch. So that means it is not twisted. It is completely flush from there to there. And this here is also square. So we are good to go. Alright, that's me done for the night. I'm going to go have a game of pool and a beer. And in the meantime, I'm going to pack my stuff away. Even though I'm going to be here first thing in the morning, I'm going to pack away, because it's a good habit that I'm going to start enforcing on myself, because that's when messes happen, is when you don't pack away when you're done. So I'm going to go do that, and then I'll see you guys tomorrow. Alright, what's going on? It is a new morning, coffee in hand. We're in the shed welding this together. It's tacked in, then we're just going to tack that one and that one there. Before we do that, we need to make them flush and square. So I'm not going to film that, because I filmed the last one and it's probably pretty boring, so I'm just going to do it and then pick up the camera once it's done. So sweet as. Alright, it's all tacked together beautifully, so that door keeps slamming. I've had to close the roller door because the wind is blowing the MIG shield away, so yeah, not much else to say really, so Just gonna weld the rest of it together. Hope it doesn't warp. It's pretty thick material, so I don't think it's gonna warp much. But that's why we have the adjustable legs. So I'm gonna bust the rest of that together, lay some dime bags, and then I'll show you how we went. How's that for the first dime bag of the day? Check this thing out. Oh yeah. Oh, ignore that. Hang on. Get out of there. That's better. Oh yeah. Dime bags. Alright, that's bottom sides welded together. Have a look. Beautiful. 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 A little bit rough, but still gonna hold up. Same goes for down there. Too bad that's the side that's gonna be on the floor. Anyway, good practice. The top side will look even better. So I'm gonna give the shed a quick sweep because I'm gonna lay that down flat again. So then I can weld the top side and get these little beautifuls in there. So let's do it. Sweep your shed because it's good practice being tidy and nice. Also, that is not gonna be level if there's a rock or some welding wire stuck in between the frame and the floor. It's gonna not be level, so good practice. Alright, that's fully welded up. We got little legs in there too, but we have a dilemma. See, look at that. Nice. But that one there is in the air. It's not actually on the ground. And then this one here, I destroyed. I messed up the threads in the nut when I was welding it, and then I stripped the bolt and got the bolt stuck in the nut, so I've had to cut it out. So I'm gonna have to cut that one out of the frame, weld a new one in, and then lengthen these little legs. Alright, I have gone and made new ones of these. I've also gone through with this special doohickey Watson M16x2 tap and cleaned all the threads on the nuts that I welded to the jig, and now they thread in and out like a dream. So it really goes to show, take your time, and it just works that much better. So now it's time to get this and level it. So I'm gonna go do that. Alright, the whole thing, according to this little doohickey, it's upside down. This little angle finder, pretty cool thing I bought. It's magnetic as well, which I reckon is pretty cool. But regardless, the whole jig is now leveled, as close to level as we will be able to get, which is within 0.1 of a degree. 0.1 of a degree, so that's pretty good if you ask me. You could get it to 0 of a degree, but you would be here for like 3 hours chasing a tail, because there's what, 10 points of adjustment. So when you adjust one, it throws the other side out, and you got to get it close, and then you adjust it again until you slowly get closer and closer and closer and closer each time you go and adjust. I was at the point where you would adjust one side and get further out of true. So I settled at 0.1 of a degree, and I'm happy with that. And you might be wondering how I have come up with all this. I've been doing a lot of CAD design and that sort of stuff on the computer, and then it just makes this process that much easier. This is a design I made Don't know how well you can see that on camera. It's got a bit of spatter on it, but it's got my cutting list, all my dimensions, my zero line, and everything like that, which is pretty cool. And now I'm going to talk about my process behind it. Skip if you find that boring, but yeah. So what we've done is start off on the computer, find my measurements and stuff. So this width is the track width of the front wheels, hub to hub. So hub flange to hub flange on the front is what that width is. The rear, if I go for a shortened solid axle, will be way narrower than this. But if I go for the IRS drift car setup, it's going to be pretty much the same width. I think it's like 5mm wider. And that's why I went 75 by 75, because it gives me heaps of room. So I'm then going to make, so this line here, this bar, the center line of this bar is my zero line, which that essentially is all my measurements come from the center of this bar, which if I come over to my plan, you'll see here, all these measurements for the other ones come from the center of that one. The way I settled with this being my zero line, that is where my hub centers are. So that sets the wheelbase for the front in the track. So the center of the wheel is in line with the center of this bar, and the motor mounts also line up with the center of this bar, which I find pretty interesting, same as the strut towers and everything. So I thought that was a pretty good start line. This one here, that's where the cross member is for the transmission. Regardless being T5 or BTR, I'm still undecided, but the cross member's in the same spot. So that's my cross member. This one is the rear wheels, so the wheelbase. So this bar to my center line is my wheelbase. And then this one here is just the end, that's roughly where the bumper's going to be. Same for the front, that's roughly the rub support. The reason why I need it level and fully true is for when I build the chassis off it. Because if you're trying to build a chassis off something that is not level, throw it in the bin. It's not gonna. I want my stuff to be level and square, and I want it to drive in a straight line, and I want it to handle well. And that's not gonna happen on a chassis that's twisted and warped. So that's enough yapping. In the parts washer, we have the whole K-frame, which I thought was pretty cool. We were able to squeeze it all in there. I'm going to wash it twice, just because we can. I want it to be really clean. I don't want to be working on dirty, grubby stuff, so I'm going to wash that again, and then go put it in the back of the ute. And yeah, probably head home, and then make a plan on how to mock that up on the jig. So sweet as. While I wait for that to wash, I got an old trans over there that I would like to gut, which I can then use. I'd like to gut, which I can then use as a test fit on the chassis. Alright, that's me pretty much done at the workshop for today. Have a look at this. In the back of here is a whole Falcon front end, minus wheels and a motor. And then there we go, transmission extension housing, pretty much half a drive line, minus diff, motor, tail shaft. So that's pretty cool. It's all clean as well. Alright, we got the K-frame bolted back together, and it is sitting over the jig in the complete wrong spot because I've just got some old scrap steel that's not staying. I'm just working out a plan so that I can get a cutting list and a plan together so I can then do this properly. Right now the K-frame's sitting way too far forward. That there has to be just about in line with this. Not exactly sure 100% exactly how far, but it's pretty close, within 10 mil. So I've got to work that out, work out how I'm going to fit all this. I'm probably going to weld another section of the blue in here, like a cross member, so I can do this sort of setup over this way more, to then bring it this way. And then I'll make new ones of these rails longer, which go all the way to the front bar, and then I'll be able to have that central this way and central this way. So that's that. That's today done. It's getting dark outside. We've got a gutted transmission. We got the front hubs, which I'm gonna disassemble, take the rotors and brakes off them just so it's the steering knuckle and hub. I'm going to leave the steering knuckle and hub together. Don't really need to unbolt those. Then we got the gutted trans, the extension housing, and the cross member. We've got an AU cross member there, and then that's the E series / XH cross member. I've left the output shaft in the trans, so that's what you go the other way. Then I'll be able to fit the tail shaft onto that later in the future, and then work out tail shaft length in the future. That's definitely not a very soon job. We've also got the bell housing sitting there off an AU. The one missing piece is I've got a block here. All I've got to do is just rip the crank out and then get the engine mount, which bolt here. I'll take that off the red motor at the workshop, and then we'll be able to bolt this onto the K-frame once the K-frame is bolted to the jig, and then we can then bolt the bell housing to the motor, then we can bolt the trans to the bell housing, and then we can bolt the extension housing to the trans, and then we can bolt the AU cross member to the extension housing, which should be right here, if my calculations are correct. And then once all that's done, then we can bolt the wheel hubs to here, and we've got like 90%, 85% of our drive line. So it's pretty much done, is what I'm trying to say. Wicked. It's definitely not pretty much done, but yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited. I'm gonna go have some food, eat breakfast. That's what I'm gonna go do. Cool. That's pretty much it. Yeah. Cheers for watching. Stay tuned for the next one. Pretty exciting build, so surely follow along. Cheers.